Hey kids, Rio here. Welcome back to the channel. Today is Wednesday, and this is the beginning of my family-friendly Halloween review series. All the episodes of this series are going to be filmed up here at Kim's Krypt Haunted Mill in Spring Grove. Today we are on the set of the Netherworld. You see Dante's Inferno room here behind me. So you can guess who's on this stage. We don't say his name. But today we're going to open the series, and the first show we're going to be talking about is going to be one of my favorite TV shows of all time, The Real Ghostbusters. So The Real Ghostbusters is an animated series, ran from 1986 to I think like 92 or something. Ran for like 7 or 8 seasons, ran for a really long time. This was a series based on the movie. The premise being that these are the actual guys the movie's based on, like it's a bio, right? So, obviously many of you are familiar with this show. If you're not, you can find the episodes online. Many of them are now available for free on YouTube. We're going to be talking about a specific episode today. We're going to be talking about the episodes from Season 1, Episode 8, an episode called When Halloween Was Forever. Now, When Halloween Was Forever is an important episode in that it's the first of 3 Halloween specials, specific holiday specials that were done by the Real Ghostbusters series. This one was, of course, followed by Halloween 2.5 and in 1987, and then a final special which was called The Halloween Door, which was like a primetime special. Now, 2 of these stories feature this character in this one, which is really exciting for me. This one is the introduction of the character Samhain. And Samhain, of course, is the living embodiment of Halloween. Now, you think that would be cool, right? No, because the way our story focuses is that a bunch of relics, ruins, have been brought over from Ireland and are going to be put on display at a local library, or museum, I suppose, museum. And we have some little goblins running around, because it's the Ghostbusters universe, so of course there's going to be goblins running around, right? Well, the goblins decide to fafo, and they end up letting Samhain out. Now, this is, of course, where the whole problem lies, because, of course, he is the living embodiment of Halloween, and he doesn't want Halloween to end. He's been imprisoned for, what, 1,000 years? In these artifacts. And here he come. And it's not good, guys. He's collecting ghosts and raising spirit energy so that Halloween will never end. So, yeah. And, of course, here come our boys to save the day, and that is the event. Now, I don't have a trailer for this one. They don't do trailers for individual episodes of a series. But this is a particular favorite of mine. I love the characters in this one. The animation on this series was always really tight, especially in the first few seasons. And the writing was really strong. A lot of the time, the writers, you'd be surprised who was writing them. In this case, When Halloween Was Forever was written by J. Michael Straczynski. Now, what a lot of people don't know is that he wrote a lot of cartoons back in those days. Like Jason the Wheeled Warriors, He-Man, he wrote for a lot of them. But of course, most of you would know him as the creator of the series Babylon 5. Also one of my favorite shows. And in fact, JMS wrote a lot of my favorite episodes of The Real Ghostbusters. Just a couple of random examples for you. Citizen Ghost, Take 2, Christmas Marks the Spot, Knock Knock, always a favorite, Mr. Sandman. These were all written by JMS. He wrote some of the best episodes were written by him. And of course, this one, When Halloween Was Forever, was written by J. Michael Straczynski. So you can definitely tell his style. If you're familiar with him from Babylon 5, you will absolutely get it. The comedic timing and the dialogue and stuff, yeah, you'll notice. Okay, so the animation is done by a company called DIC, D-I-C. And DIC was actually originally started as a French animation studio. They had several names over the years, different incarnations, and provided a lot of children's shows that you've watched. Things like The Littles, Inspector Gadget. They did a lot of these shows back then. The Real Ghostbusters being no exception. Most of it was actually being animated like in the Philippines. And so it had a very anime style to the way that it's drawn. Which is one of the things that drew me to it. That I really thought was really cool about it. So we'll take a minute, we'll talk about the cast on this show. Because as I mentioned JMS, there's a lot of interesting connections to the show. So let's talk about our primary cast. So our primary cast, of course, we have our 4 boys. We have the Ghostbusters, right? So you have Peter Venkman, who at this point in the series is being voiced by Lorenzo Music, the voice of Garfield, the late Lorenzo Music. In later seasons, he'd be replaced by Dave Coulier. But at this point, it's Lorenzo. And of course, you have Ray Stantz, who is being voiced by Frank Welker. You know Frank Welker. Is Scooby-Doo. Pick a cartoon, Frank Welker's in it. He voices both Ray and Slimer. Okay, just so you know that. Slimer does talk, sort of. And of course, you have Egon. Egon, is, all the way through the series, is voiced by Maurice LaMarche. And you know who Maurice LaMarche is. It's the brain from Animaniacs and a million other things. He has a voice that you can't help but recognize. And then, of course, we have Winston Zeddemore. And Winston Zeddemore, at this point in the series, is being voiced by Arsenio Hall. In later seasons, he was voiced by the late Buster Jones. But at this stage, it's Arsenio Hall. Okay? And, of course, we also do have Janine, our dear Janine Melnitz. She's in the show. At this stage, being voiced by Laura Summer. But was later voiced by Kathy Sosi. And in Extreme Ghostbusters by a lady named Pat Music. No relation to Lorenzo. This is just your basic voice cast right here, your principal cast, right? And now let's talk about Sam Hain. Let's talk about our villain. He's got some of the best dialogue, like villain dialogue. It's great. Sam Hain is actually being voiced by the late Bill Martin. He passed away in 2016. Now you would know him from other things. He's done voices on like the Star Wars video games, Baldur's Gate. There was a couple other ones here too. Oh, and he was actually the Shredder in the early TMNT animated series. So he's a voice you've heard a lot. But he is the voice of Sam Hain. And yes, I know before anybody gets upset, it's Sam Hain. I know it should be Samhain, but it was easier to just give him a name, I suppose. It is a kid's show, right? A little interesting bit of trivia about this episode, by the way. One of the things that happens a lot in this series is they would introduce characters that would become recurring characters that would pop up throughout the 7-8 years this thing ran. This episode, it's season 1. In this episode, we get the first appearance of the reporter Cynthia Crawford. We see her after this in Citizen Ghost and a few other episodes down the line. But this is the first appearance of her character. She is voiced by the late Julie Bennett, who did a million, radio, television, cartoons. She was actually a stand-in for June Foray. You know June Foray? Rocket J. Squirrel, Granny from Tweety Sylvester, Tweety Bird. Yes, Julie Bennett was actually a stand-in for her for times when June Foray couldn't do it. She was actually Julie is best known as the voice of Cindy Bear from the Yogi Bear Show in 1961. That was her most famous voiceover. Yes, unfortunately, Julie Bennett passed away at the age of 88 from complications of COVID. So that is unfortunate. But this is the very first appearance of this character in the series, and she does appear later on throughout the series. She pops up in other episodes. Voiced by Julie every time she does show up, so that's something kind of cool. We talk a minute about the score, too, right? Ham Sabin and Shuki Levy. Now, you know these names from Power Rangers. Yeah, it's them. They're the ones that do the score. With an exception, there are a number of these sort of 80s-style pop songs that appear throughout the series. There was actually an album of them released in 1988, at least overseas. I don't think it's that hard to get now, but for a long time, that was a holy grail to try to find. It was done by a band called Tahiti. And they recorded all these songs on an album, and you could buy them. The interesting part about that, though, is who wrote the songs, though. This is one of the things I found fascinating. The writer on a lot of those songs was a man by the name of Ollie E. Brown. Some of you might recognize the name. He was actually part of a pop dance duo called Ollie and Jerry. They were in Breakin' 2 and Breakin', the movies. And also, this guy's worked with everybody, man. He was a producer with Michael Jackson, and there was all kinds of people. LaToya, Blondie, DeBarge. He's worked with Quincy Jones. He was the one that wrote these little pop songs. And there is one in this movie, in this episode of the Ghostbusters. I don't remember the name of the title of the one that's in this particular one. We have the title right, Midnight Action. That's the pop song that's in this one. They didn't always have one in every episode, but there is one in this one. Apropos of nothing, if you look up the episode Look Homeward, Ray, the song Hometown Hero, the guitar solo on that's done by Ray Parker Jr. So that's just kind of a cool bit of trivia, right? But one of the things I do find kind of interesting is that with Sam Hain being the living embodiment of Halloween, by way of Egon, we get a little bit of a lesson on the history of Halloween. Talking a bit about its roots in Ireland and Scotland and how it came over with immigrants to America and how some of the traditions and customs had changed over generations. Does lead you to wonder why they locked Sam Hain up, but I'm imagining there's a reason for that. So it's kind of funny. In a weird way, the episode is almost educational. Right? Almost. This is a solid episode, and it's worth it to follow this one up with Halloween 2.5 and the Halloween Door. They aren't all necessarily the same story, but it's the 3 main Halloween specials that came out from RGB, and they're just kind of fun to watch. Sam Hain is in Halloween 2.5, but he is not part of the story in the Halloween Door. Okay, so it's not necessarily a trilogy in that respect. But this is a favorite of mine, and RGB always had just the right level of pathos, of scariness, of humor, you know, so it, you know, smart enough for the adults, but not too smart for the kids, so everybody could watch it. I always thought that was a really great part of this show. So if you are not familiar with RGB, you can find most of the episodes online. In fact, I think YouTube, I think there is one of these channels has a library that has like a lot of the episodes, if not all of them. Also, if you like, there was a box set that was released in 2008. It's like a 25-disc set that has the entire series, like all of them, and like bumpers and all kinds of extras. Kind of cool, and is still available. I actually looked it up. I saw it on a couple different sites. You can still order that, so you have that option as well. I'll put some links down in the description for places you can watch When Halloween Was Forever and other Ghostbusters episodes, and links to where I know you can find the box set. But okay, so I guess that's going to be it for me for this week. It's only a 20-minute episode, you know, of the cartoons. There's not a whole lot I can tell you, and I don't have a trailer or anything. But I'll go ahead and bypass the rating system, only because these things are personal favorites of mine, and so you already know I'm going to love them. But hopefully you guys will check these out. Like I said, this whole series is going to be family-friendly, focusing mainly on animation. So if you want to join me in the next coming weeks, and I will be filming on other sets up here at Kim's Krypt Haunted Mill in Spring Grove, Pennsylvania. You can actually go, if you're going to be in this area, you want to come and visit. There are 5 attractions, 2 escape rooms, a full midway on 62 acres of property. This place is super cool, you guys. And you can come here and see the Bee-Man for yourself. Pretty sure he's here somewhere. So, alright, I guess that's going to be it for now, and I guess I will see you guys next week with yet another in my Halloween series, and I'll see you guys then. Don't forget, there's a subscription button over here someplace. Go ahead and hit that, and yeah, bye.